Salut, Félix Tshisekedi a bien confirmé que le Congo a le pouvoir de fournir l'énergie électrique à toute l'Afrique.
Monsieur le Président, I wanted to come up with a positive note on regional integration. Your country sits on the majestic Congo River, which has the force of its water, has the capacity to generate electricity for probably half the continent of Africa. We've seen a succession of initiatives trying to dam that river at Inga, and we've now got Puti Inga, and Inga 1, Inga 2, and so on. What are your hopes for hydroelectricity in Congo? And finally, launching the great Inga project, Inga Dam project, and other projects I know you've been talking about, both to protect the environment in Congo, but also to meet the growing need for electricity across your vast country.
Merci. L'hydroélectricité, évidemment, c'est une technologie dans laquelle le monde doit s'impliquer parce que, vous l'avez dit, il y a des besoins de préservation de l'environnement. Et le Congo offre par son fleuve d'énormes potentialités dans ce sens. Nous avons dans le développement de l'énergie du barrage d'Inga, enfin d'Inga en général, une possibilité de distribuer de l'énergie à toute l'Afrique. Et donc nous avons une vision globale, une approche globale de la question. Nous en avons discuté avec nos partenaires, j'en ai parlé avec le président du Rwanda, avec aussi Madame la présidente d'Éthiopie, pour voir ensemble, surtout l'Éthiopie, vous savez qu'en ce moment, elle est en proie à une sorte de tension avec l'Égypte au sujet du barrage qu'elle s'apprête à construire. Mais là, je pense que si Inga se développe dans toutes ses phases, donc jusqu'à la phase 8, nous aurons 44 000 mégawatts à fournir de capacité. Et donc, à ce moment, le problème en Éthiopie ne se poserait pas. Donc, elle l'a trouvé intéressante, cette proposition, donc on va y aller. D'autre part, nous avons plus de 200 sites à l'intérieur du Congo qui peuvent également fournir de l'énergie. À peu près mis ensemble, on arriverait à 60 000 mégawatts. Donc, vous voyez que il y a d'énormes possibilités. Et au sujet de l'eau, qui est aussi une des batailles à venir, je pense qu'au niveau, on peut réfléchir à des solutions du style au niveau de l'embouchure, juste un petit peu avant la rencontre avec les eaux de l'océan. Il y a moyen de capter cette eau du fleuve et de l'envoyer via des pipelines à des pays qui en ont besoin, plutôt que d'aller dans ce qu'on a proposé à un moment donné au Tchad, c'est-à-dire le fait de dévier le fleuve Ubangi, ce qui va avoir des conséquences, y compris sur l'énergie, notamment les tourbières qu'il y a dans la forêt équatoriale et qui nous servent au monde entier de poumons, donc pour absorber le carbone. Donc nous pensons qu'il y a d'autres solutions et la RDC est prête à les offrir, à les proposer à ses partenaires africains pour réussir cette intégration qui nous tient tant à cœur.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. We have a few minutes for questions from the audience, and I know both of you are very keen to hear the audience's thoughts, particularly such a well-informed and influential audience as this. So could we have some questions for the two presidents? It's an historic opportunity to ask these two presidents sitting on the same platform together. It hasn't ever happened before, so you can be part of history. There is a question coming there on my right in the column straight ahead. Could we have your question? Could you state where you're from and give us a brief question directed to either the president, one of the presidents, or both of them? Do we have an awkward silence? There must be some people out there who have to pluck up the the wherewithal. The gentleman there in the second row, please. He's got his hand up. Thank you so much. Please state where you're from.
My name is Bassem Loukil. I'm from Tunisia. The question is regarding the regional integration. How much influence will the regional conflicts have eventually on the completion of the African Free Trade Area or Agreement, since it seems like almost all neighbors have some type of conflicts that hinder either trade or investments or movement of people. So far, I think half of the African nations have signed up for the Free Trade Agreement, and yet we keep on talking about regional conflicts, neighboring conflicts. How much will that be of a hinder to the completion of the Free Trade Agreement? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions in this round? There's a hand up there. Yes, on my left. Please take the microphone.
Thank you for giving me the microphone. I actually was about to ask the same question, and I'm asking it as a businessman.
Okay.
I'm not.
Please, could you say where you're from?
My name is Willie Have, and I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Thank you.
And I'm asking to President Kagame that I commend for his achievement here. But yes, I know that it's a big challenge for you to try to convince the other countries to change from being countries as such, because when you look at it, Europe today is it's different presidents that are like governors of different entities and are working together. African countries, to travel from one African country to another is a big issue. We're talking about conflict, but before we even go to conflict, it's very difficult to just cross from one border to another. You have been complaining yesterday of the fact that it's a challenge to convince your colleagues. I want to know what they tell you. What is their problem? Why aren't they ready to start opening those borders? Please, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President,
yes.
Clear question there. What's the problem?
Yeah, I know the problem, but I can't find the answer.
Well, identifying the problem is always the first step.
Yes, but I'll probably speak to the two questions combined.
Please, yes. We're tight for time. Yeah.
First, the conflicts inevitably affect regional integration.
Yes.
But one, I want to see it as having problems which we must try and address simultaneously, rather than just saying, let's address one, then we move to another. While we try to prevent or resolve conflicts that exist, we, at the same time, have to be working on integration. Yes. Because there are aspects of integration that can make progress even with the conflicts that we have. In fact, the beauty of it, well, I'm not talking about the beauty of conflict, I'm talking about the beauty of having such a multi-pronged approach. Yeah. Is that we have seen already the people of any country in our region or beyond. The African people, for them, they are ahead of their leaders in terms of understanding the importance of integration or even practicing it. Yeah. In fact, even some conflict areas, people are working together, doing business, there's trade going on, even with bullets flying over their heads. They are busy doing that. So it's a responsibility of governments, of leaders, political leaders, to make sure that should not be the case, or it should not be normalized, that we can keep on conflicts and then, okay, and say, there is integration taking place after all, so why don't we? No, I think we need to tackle both, prevent conflicts, or stop them, at the same time encourage regional integration, because that is what should be. And if you look at the African continent, in fact, I didn't say that I did not convince African leaders to the importance of regional integration. I was only referring to the difficulties where, for example, I have to, in fact, commend the African leaders who, in the first place, have been behind the thrust of seeing regional integration, of seeing the CFTA. They are the ones, the leaders are the ones who sat and said, we know we must have this continental free trade area, because they wanted it. They knew the importance. But this is in spite of the fact that conflicts have been there, or others will come, and so on and so forth. So leaders should go beyond just dealing with one issue at a time, but rather address across the board.
Across the panorama of concerns.
That's what we need to do. So, one, I agree, conflicts affect regional integration, and we need to put more time and energy and everything we have to make sure that we reduce on or eliminate conflicts. Same time, I encourage regional integration. In fact, one helps the other.
Reinforcing, mutually reinforcing.
Yes, yes. If you do that, regional integration encourages trade, business to happen, and these things help reduce on the conflicts or the causes of conflict once people are busy with the most serious issues.
Thanks.
So that is the most important. And on the other one, I don't think there is, I don't think there is anything wrong with the leaders as such cutting across. Yes, there are places you can say they have a problem, there are others that don't have much in terms of problem. And so we try to see how, again, come back to the point of working together. But the other part, let me leave it to my brother, friend, and President Tshisekedi to say something about it.
Monsieur le Président, what is the problem, in your view?
D'abord, félicitations au président Kagame pour cette initiative du libre-échange qui, de toutes les façons, est appelé un jour en Afrique à se matérialiser. Il n'y a rien à faire, il faut tendre vers là. Mais évidemment, il y a ces problèmes posés par M. Bassam, si mes souvenirs sont bons, si je me rappelle du nom, à propos évidemment des conflits. Évidemment, les conflits minent sérieusement le développement de l'Afrique. Mais je crois que la résolution, elle ne peut pas se faire, je ne crois pas qu'elle puisse se faire d'Addis Abeba, siège de l'institution de l'Union africaine. Je crois plutôt que les sous-régions aujourd'hui ont acquis une capacité, une influence, j'allais dire, importante dans l'Afrique. Je vais l'illustrer par 3 exemples rapidement. Au Congo, mon pays, c'est grâce, je dois dire, à l'intervention de la sous-région que nous avons évité un grave conflit post-électoral. Elle a joué un grand rôle. Et d'ailleurs, même lorsque, à l'époque, dans l'opposition, nous allions frapper à la porte de nos partenaires internationaux, tous nous renvoyaient à la sous-région, à nos partenaires sous-régionaux, pour essayer de débloquer la situation. À la CEDEAO, même chose. Souvenez-vous, lorsqu'il y a eu le fameux coup d'État manqué après la destitution du président Compaoré, c'est la sous-région qui est intervenue pour mettre fin à ça et revenir à l'ordre démocratique. Même pour la SADC. La SADC, il y a eu la crise au Zimbabwe, c'est encore... donc, vous voyez, je crois qu'il faut accentuer les rôles des sous-régions et au même moment travailler sur, j'allais dire, une sorte d'égalité de critères, un peu à la manière de l'Union européenne lorsqu'elle s'apprêtait, par exemple, à intégrer de nouveaux pays. Les pays qui étaient déjà en Union avaient atteint un certain niveau et exigeaient certains critères aussi aux adhérents pour commencer ensemble. Je crois qu'il faut aller comme ça, étape par étape. Et je pense qu'à ce rythme, nous allons arriver régionalement, localement, comme ça, à éradiquer tous ces conflits et à faire comprendre à nos populations le besoin de l'unité et de la mise en commun de ce que nous avons de positif plutôt qu'autre chose. Voilà.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. The clock has declared war on us and is about to beat us, unfortunately. We have another few items, so it remains to me to thank you both profusely. Merci bien, Monsieur le Président. And may I wish you well on behalf of the Forum in your new work in Congo. I know you've got a very difficult few weeks ahead of you with the internal political, shall I say, negotiations. But from talking to your team, I understand that you're on top of things, and we look forward to seeing the new Congo under your leadership. Thank you so much for attending this conference. Sincere thanks. Thanks. Monsieur le Président.
Merci beaucoup. Abonnez-vous en masse. Peace Africa.